Yeah, exactly. And the first bit of news comes to us from bleedingcool.com, and this is Roddenberry Entertainment unveiled a new geek-inspired anime series at WonderCon. This is Rod Roddenberry, the son of Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry, and he's been keeping himself busy, over the past few years. And he's executive producing the next Star Trek TV show, Star Trek Discovery, which will get released sometime in the future.
Do we technically call these things TV shows anymore, by the way, when they're not made specifically to be watched on a television? I mean, yes, obviously you can Roku that shit, you can Apple TV it, but it's not coming through broadcast television anymore. I wonder if it's going to be like netcasts versus podcasts. If someone down the line is going to say, well, do we call it that anymore, or is it something else? Like someone's going to try to distinguish it and come up with their own genre term and make the change. And one, I wonder if it'll stick. It's like we still say taping things when we're using a DVR.
Yeah.
It's like the icons that were on the iPhones a few years ago that were still like, and this phone looks like an old-fashioned phone with a little fucking cord attached to it and shit. And here's your tape recorder. And all these things that don't really exist and that kids today don't even understand what the references are to. I think about that sometimes. I also think about the fact that this show, as we're talking about it from Rod Roddenberry, son of Gene Roddenberry, is called Rod and Barry, which sounds great if you're like, oh, I've got this name and I can make it work for these two characters. But I'll tell you what, man. I hear Roddenberry and I think of something completely different.
A little bit of bait and tackle.
Well, I mean, some tackle, just the one. So it's kind of like Matt from Podcast of Terror. But it's all right. So, but to get back to the story, this is a series that began as a webcomic, ran from 2008 to 2013. Features two purple aliens named Rod and Barry. They've been sent to observe Earth and its culture and report back to their homeworld prior to Earth's annihilation. They discover television, become big television watchers. I have no way of relating to that at all. Just giant fanboys that watch series like Game of Thrones, Battlestar Galactica, Lost. If it ends up with them getting a podcast, we should just fucking shift and let them take over. Yeah.
That's where you just see us go, well, this is it. This is the end. And then 10 years later, we'll come on and do a reunion thing.
I, for one, welcome our new purple alien overlords.
Yeah. So the first thing that came to my mind when when looking through this article was, this is like an updated Beavis and Butthead. Like, I mean, because if you look at the very basic premise, or what when I hear Beavis and Butthead, besides the, Great Cornholio and all that stuff, it was always the thing that I liked the most was them doing talking over the music videos. Like they're watching MTV and, they're giving their, like riff tracks on it.
The stuff that made it almost impossible to put Beavis and Butthead on VHS and DVD later on was because of all that video stuff. But yeah, that's absolutely it. It's two characters that are sitting there doing critiques of television while sitting on a couch. So that is very Beavis and Butthead-esque.
And so here's the some of the cool things. So so it is the comic that's coming over, but it will star the voice actor Greg Sipes, who does on, if it's the same one I'm thinking of, he does Beast Boy in Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. He's done he did Iron Fist on Ultimate Spider-Man. And he'll also be serving as a producer on the project. And oh hey, yeah, and it mentions it in there. And the additional cast will include Aaron Doe, Brittany Ferlin, Ben Storm, and Rod Roddenberry himself, or Rod Roddenberry, Trevor Roth, and Scott Paxkoff will be acting as executive producers. This is exciting for me because you said all the different things, but this is stuff that I think can be really fun, really cool to watch. So
and also for people who might be going to WonderCon at the end of the month, this will be a panel presenting the shorts, hosted by Claire Kramer, famous for being in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, among other things. And you will be able to get to meet some of the people that are involved with the show and maybe see a preview of it.
Yeah. So our next story is, and I realize I'm on the wrong team in this with my wardrobe today, but Chris Evans is open playing Captain America after Avengers 4. So yeah, last week he told Esquire that he's probably done playing the character after he had fulfilled his contract. And then there's a quote, settling in on the couch, he groans. Evans explains that he's hurting all over because he just started his workout routine the day before to get in shape for the next two Captain America films. The movies will be shot back to back beginning in April. After that, no more red, white, and blue costume for the 35-year-old. He will have fulfilled his contract. And then there later goes on to be, he's speaking with Christina Radish, on a press day for his new film Gifted, and he sounded, quite a bit different. Where she asks, "Are you going to be done? Are you really going to be done playing Captain America after the next two Avengers movies?" And he says, "It's not really up to me. My contract is up. I'm not going to sit here and say no more. I think Hugh Jackman has made 47 Wolverine movies, and they somehow keep getting better. It's a character I love. It's a factory that really knows what they're doing. The system is sound over there. They make great movies, and if they're kicking out quality, if they weren't kicking out quality, I'd have a different opinion. But everything Marvel does seems to be cinema gold. And like I said, I love the character. The only reason it would end is because my contract is up after Avengers 4. My contract is done. Talk to Marvel if we engage further. I'd be open to it. I love the character. It's almost like high school. You certainly always look to senior year, and then all of a sudden senior year happens, and you're like, I don't know if I'm really going to go. It's tough thinking about not playing the guy. So
it sounds like I remember Chris Evans said something early in the films, like maybe it was after the first Avengers, where he was like, "Yeah, I'm only gonna play this so long, and I'm looking to get into directing and stuff." But then about the time that Winter Soldier happened, I think he saw that they weren't always going to be just straight up superhero movies, and that there was some more depth to them, some more story opportunities, and he felt a little bit more attracted to the role at that point. Now, Chris has been acting a long time and has done a huge variety of different things. He's got a lot of comedy chops. People don't realize that now when they see him playing Cap, who's very stoic, but he's done really funny stuff. I would put him at a level of Ryan Reynolds of how much comedy he can. He's just naturally funny. And it seems like, there's the pay factor to think about of like, well, Marvel's going to keep making billion-dollar films, and I like my big fucking movie checks. But that's not always necessary to somebody who's either considered themselves an artist, or realistically, the amount of stress it puts in your body to try to stay in this keen cut shape for these films. Now, he's lucky that he's younger than some of the other actors in these roles. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. looks amazing. He's older than I am. It's incredible that he's held together in the way that he is, which is like, I've never looked like that. Hugh Jackman, same thing, is probably around my age or so, and is cut as shit, but that does take a toll. Even if it's like, I only do it when I'm getting ready for the role again, it's like, that's some hard shit to put yourself through. And they're strenuous, physically active films. So I could see saying, it's tough for me to always come back to this, but I could also see why it would be hard for him to leave, because they're good movies and they're successful movies, and a lot of actors dream of hitting this level of success.
And I will also say this: he doesn't. There is a future if you go with the Marvel canon. There is a future with him not having to be buff, macho Captain America. There have been like the article points out, you know, Sebastian Stan's character Bucky Barnes and Anthony Mackie's character Sam Wilson have both went on to become Captain America themselves. You know, Sam Wilson's is currently the Captain America, although it looks like that might be going away. And also on a side note, Hugh Jackman is 48, Robert Downey Jr. is 51. But so I mean, there are roles that he could be playing as, going on down the road as a director of Shield, as a commander in Shield or something like that.
Which is already a part that Samuel L. Jackson is in these films. And Samuel L. Jackson has let slip like there may be stuff going on with the Nick Fury character coming back and possibly having something to do with the Red Skull. Although it's something that he said casually that may or may not actually have any bearing, and it's just he was talking casually about like, well, there's still stuff out there for Nick to be fighting and figuring out. So that don't take that at 100%. The thing about it is that as much as I love Anthony Mackie, and as much as I've enjoyed Sebastian Stan in the films, Cap in the movies is my guy. He has become to me what Christopher Reeve was to me growing up, as like I would see Christopher Reeve and that's Superman to me. And certainly when I saw films where Christopher Reeve was not playing Superman, it was a little confusing at first. Like when he was in a love story going through time, or when he was gay and kissing Michael Caine in Death Trap. I'm like, whoa, that's what? All right, cool. But he was still like, when I saw him as Superman, I totally bought in to Superman in that moment. And that made me a Superman fan. And I don't think in a way that the comics ever could have. And same thing with Chris Evans's Cap is like, I saw Chris Evans's Cap. Now it's not just him. It's the writing of the films. It's the direction of the films. It's all the whole cast around him. But I completely bought into it. And I felt like this is the guy that I want to watch do this forever. And in both cases of Winter Soldier and Falcon, I like those actors as those characters. I'm not a big fan of, like, I get the legacy thing, and I love the legacy thing in comics because comics have so much more story to fill over years and years and decades and stuff. I don't necessarily need to see that happen in the movies. I would like to see Anthony Mackie just continue making Falcon badass in the movies. I would like to see Sebastian Stan continue to make Bucky cool as shit in the films and doing stuff in, say, Black Panther or whatever we might see him in next. So I'm not in any hurry to see Chris get replaced or Steve get replaced as Cap. I just want to keep seeing these movies happen because they've been so great. And the Cap films have certainly been my favorites of the Marvel films. But they can't last forever. And we're going to talk about some of that in a little bit when we get to Elseworlds. But right now, I can see the compulsion of, should I stay or should I go? Well, there is contract negotiations to take in mind, and that's probably what he's really saying. Yeah.
Our next story is a lot of speculation. And that is that there's the news that apparently Aaron Sorkin is in talks with both Marvel and DC for the film, like for, some property on either side. For those of you guys who don't know who Aaron Sorkin is, first off, shame on you. He has done, for longtime fans, you might remember Casey Drumbeck. from way back in the Glenn Rubenstein days, who is a big Aaron Sorkin fan. Um, watched, was Sports Radio, um,
Sports Night.
Sports Night, um, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, the Newsroom, which was what we were talking about at the time in the podcast.
The West
He was,
Wing.
yeah, the West Wing. He's gone on to do write movies like oh gosh, what were they? Social Network, the Steve Jobs movie, um the where is it? Moneyball, The Great American President, A Few Good Men, Charlie Wilson's War.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you probably, if you follow films, certainly if you follow the writers of films, you would probably recognize Sorkin.
yeah,
And
he's famous for he's famous for the walk and talk style that you see
yeah,
in a lot of the stuff he does.
and that's something that has to come up. Now, I would imagine that certainly because Sorkin is a big name in Hollywood, both for television and for films. But he is making a transition over to movies more. It makes sense that DC and Marvel are talking to him like they'd be talking to any number of directors from different places and different things. Anybody that they can get a hold of that brings a new voice and talent to their universes. I mean, DC Universe, I'm not sure as much, but certainly Marvel is like, how do we keep things fresh? How do we keep things moving along? How do we keep Iron Fist white? Oh no, I'm kidding. But there's a lot of different things that they're approaching, because like we were saying, Captain America's had 3 different movies. All 3 movies feel different from each other. Now the third movie feels like an Avengers movie, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that's sort of prep for the next 2 Avengers movies that those directors are doing. The question becomes, really, what would Aaron Sorkin do? If you're Marvel, what is the character or project that you would throw his way? What do you think his voice would be good for?
Oh gosh, see, that's an interesting one, because I would see him, and I will point out right now, this all came from on comicbook.com. They talked about, they caught up with him on during CinemaCon, and he had said he's being pitched by each, and he's flattered, but he also has never really read a comic book,
which is not necessarily something that should prohibit you.
No, yeah,
but you should read the source material of the character that you wind up working on. Not all of it.
Yeah, but get ideas. So I mean, I'm going to split this up into essentially to 4 categories: movies and TVs for both DC and Marvel on both sides, with some ideas, because I'm going to agree with B for the TV side for Marvel. Shield, that like something with the Agents of Shield. Getting him in there. Writing some of the shows. Well, okay, as a movie, whatever. I mean, I could see him, really revitalizing.
So not Agents of Shield, but something with Nick Fury and Shield Classic.
I could see, I could see that. I could also see him doing, like if they wanted to do an event like Original Sin, with where that was more of a talking, event.
So anything Bendis would make sense, because that's all people do is talk.
Yeah.
In Bendis comics.
Yeah.
Until the end, which is, it's like, oh, and then we're gonna fight, but now we're not gonna actually finish this shit. Bendis writes what is 3 seasons of Dragon Ball Z in about 5 years of comics.
Yeah.
Give or take on either one.
Yeah. But so, I mean, like B is saying a movie, not TV. I'm saying, you could do a, a Nick Fury movie with him, but I'm saying you could also, have him come in and write a story arc for the TV show as well, and it would probably boost the ratings a bunch with how his writing goes. I would have to say personally on the movie side, Um, yeah, I think I'm gonna go on a limb here, and I think I could see him doing some good stuff with with a character like Moon Knight. You know, getting getting a little bit more obscure character, and having him being able to do it. Bring out something that hasn't been brought out before, and next thing you know, everyone's like, "Oh, I love this character." From here, like everyone's doing with Groot and Rocket Raccoon right now.
Well, speaking of which, that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see him do a Groot meets Black Bolt from the Inhumans, because I think that'd be fun. He would have to obviously utilize all his dialogue skills, because it's just I am Groot and silence, and that's it. If Black Bolt had a Sorkin-esque dialogue fest, pretty much the entire Marvel universe would be destroyed. But no, seriously, what I thought of is I would think he would have to come into a new property. I don't think he's going to want to come in and pick up where somebody has already been establishing everything. My thought was something that would be similar to Daredevil, because Daredevil has both the street level fighting stuff, but also the political intrigue, the court stuff. Although we haven't seen a lot of that in Daredevil so far, I think She-Hulk would be a very good fit for Aaron Sorkin.
You start talking, and I'm like, She-Hulk. He's going to say She-Hulk.
Yeah, because She-Hulk classically has good comedy chops, great stuff with courtroom drama. She's got a sex appeal to her. She is definitely an adult, not like adult mature themes, but I mean adult, like she's someone who's established, who has her own life. I think that it is a character that is rich with things that you could have possibilities to write about, and the extended cast that you could use for her would be terrific. So I think that's right in his wheelhouse.
Would you do a She-Hulk movie or She-Hulk TV series?
I would think a 10-episode Netflix series would be where Sorkin would shine, because like the Newsroom, it's just enough to give him the ability to say what he wants to say without going overboard. But a movie is going to, I think, be too limiting.
Yeah. But so what about the DC side of things? I mean, DC, I'm going to go off something Beat said in here as a joke, where he said Suicide Squad 2. I'm going to go, what about like a Legion of Doom movie? So not like, these rapscallion villains, but you get, Lex Luthor and, Black Manta.
Oh, and, fucking a Luthor monologue written by Sorkin would be great. And he's already worked with Eisenberg, so maybe he could actually make Eisenberg's Luthor palatable. I don't believe that, but I can definitely see that would be something that would be interesting.
Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. When I had said this, I had completely forgotten that Jesse Eisenberg had played this, because I was thinking more like a Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor,
which I think we would all prefer as Lex Luthor. Again, not a slam on Eisenberg. I definitely like Eisenberg in specific things. I just felt that, not due to his own fault, but his Luthor was tragically miscast and miswritten and misused. But
sadly,
be that as it may, if you want to see his game get upped, Sorkin writing it would be far better than the writing that it had in Batman v Superman.
Yeah, and Beat's pointing out another good one. I mean, I would see this as a TV show. Only one problem is it's from Image Comics, which is not a problem, but just more of a, he's not in talks with them. And it's Saga. I think it'd be cool. I also think this would be like a little bit more out of his wheelhouse to do Saga.
My DC project that is directly in his wheelhouse, especially if you go off of the Studio 60 series or the Sports Night series,
Doom Patrol.
And it's just screaming for it. No, it would be Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. the
Ooh,
super
yeah. Ooh,
buddies. The super buddies thing to me would be ideal. That
yeah.
two main guys, and then if you go with the whole Justice League International, have fire involved, have ice involved, kind of grow it organically. A Martian Manhunter in that series, like I know it would be comedic primarily, but that's what super buddies should be. If you get a Guy Gardner in there, all the better. I think that there is such potential for that, and that would be something that Sorkin would really do well. And if he followed the models put forth by Giffen, DeMatteis, and and the people who worked on those things before, I think that that would just be that's sort of a dream for those characters to finally get on the screen in the first place, but to then see it happen with someone of this caliber and style of writing, I think would be terrific.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I throw this to our viewers and listeners. What do you think? What would you want in an Aaron Sorkin Marvel or DC TV series? You can let us know by leaving us a voicemail 805-328-3966 or emailing us mail@elsenerds.com, or message us on Twitter @ElseNerds, @Galactic Netcasts, at that Gregor. Let us know what do you want to see him do next for for a Marvel or DC TV or movie project. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the news, and we will be right back.